Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Your Community and It's Your Life. I get these headphones off because I have an echo. Tonight, we're going to have three special guests, and you're going to be able to ask them direct questions about the tax coming up, and you'll be able to ask them direct questions about the new form of government. But we're going to talk first about the tax. What is the tax? What's the tax going to do? And we're going to ask your questions, not my questions. I'm just going to read your questions. I got the easy part. So when you send in a question, make sure it's with the issue at hand right now. We don't want to dig up stuff in the past. We don't want to dig up way back years ago. We want to address what's happening now and get your questions answered about this tax coming up November 2nd and the form of government. So it's your community, it's your life, and it's your town. So you got an opportunity right now to ask these questions. And I'm going to flip over and let you see our guest and let them introduce yourself. And just give me a moment here to get them turned on. Oh, here we go. All right. You can introduce yourself, Frank Hart.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Frank Hart, Union County Supervisor.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Michael McCoda. I'm the president of Spartanburg Community College.
Good evening, Union County. I'm Joey Haney, Superintendent of Union County Schools.
Okay, we're going to see, we'll go ahead and start right now and see if we don't have any comments at the moment right here. Frank, one of the comments that I've seen and asked was, what is actually going to be taxed? There's a little confusion about that. Someone will say this is going to be taxed. Somebody say my dog's going to be taxed. So if you will clear that up.
I'll do that. Jerry, of course, we appreciate you coming and doing this. And of course, the idea is to get the information out to the voters so they've got the information they need to make an informed choice. Just a little bit of background on capital project sales tax. If you look around Union County, pretty much every county that borders us has one form or another of a capital project sales tax. What that means is when you travel into those communities and spend dollars, you are basically investing in infrastructure, quality of life items for that community. So the concept here is to do the same thing in Union County. It's an 8-year tax that's approved by the voters. The projects, there's 8 of them on the ballot, and the money has to be used for that purpose. So I've gotten a lot of questions. You mentioned what exactly will be taxed. So it's probably easier to talk about items that would not be taxed. Basically, when you think about unprepared food, obviously your groceries, that is not going to be impacted by this tax. Prepared food will be. So if you go in the grocery store and you go to the deli and you order some fried chicken and potato wedges and macaroni, my understanding is that's a prepared plate at that point, and it would be subject to the tax. Prescriptions, medicines, that sort of stuff in South Carolina, if it is obtained through a prescription, from a physician, it is not going to be taxable. There's a lot of other code regarding prosthetics, and that gets a little beyond my scope. But gas, folks have asked me about gas and that sort of thing. Gas taxes are set through the state as well as there's a federal, highway tax on gasoline. So that's not going to be impacted by the local or by this local option sales tax.
Okay, I know that some of the, let me turn this down here. Some of the people were asking, I'm glad you cleared up about the gas tax, because they're saying it keeps going up,
right?
And the food also, because they're afraid, well, here we're going to go up on food, it's starting to go up anyway,
right?
And they said, well, do we get taxed on this? So it's just some of the things that people are used to going out and eating and things like that. And what about property tax? Is it?
No, that's so property tax currently is not subject to sales tax. It's subject to local, property taxes. So that's not going to impact that. Vehicle taxes, as you guys know, there's a cap on vehicle taxes. That's not really going to impact that. So, normal consumables. You go to Walmart and you buy, some non-food items and that sort of stuff. Prepared food, those items, would see an additional 1 cent, 1 penny per dollar of sale would be added in tax.
Okay. Well, I know that we haven't got questions up quite yet. I guess people just now getting on here, so we can just kind of talk a little bit about some things that people's concerned as far as about about the building,
Yeah.
the new building. So I know that you got two experts right here with you that's going
Yes,
to
sir.
help with that language too. So in this building, I know someone said that the cost of it is one thing, and they're saying, well, what about if, lumber goes up, things go up, and you got on out there, are the taxes going to cover that part of it? Is it 14,000 or a million, or is it 19 million? That was some of the discrepancy. They're saying that, want to know, well, how much is this going to cost just for the building and things like that? And I know that you got your experts there to clear that up.
Just a little background. Of course, there's 8 projects. The project I'm most excited about really is this partnership between the county, the community college, and the school district to come together. I think Joey said it great on WBCU the other day. This is something we really couldn't do individually,
Right.
but by pooling our resources, we can come together and build a new career and technology center for our students. Some folks had asked about ownership. So the Spartanburg Community College campus in Union is owned by Union County, right? We have an agreement with Spartanburg Community College to operate their facility at that location. This new addition that we're talking about would be owned by the Union County, the people of Union County. It's for the people of Union County, just to clarify that. But that center really can make some major impact, in what we're doing in terms of education in the county. And of course, I'll let these guys, the experts in that area, kind of talk about what it can do for our students and our adults.
All right, Amanda Lancaster Campbell had this question here. Said, what happens if the ones that propose the projects are not able to come up with the rest of the money? Will those projects not be completed?
So the way we structured it, the amount that's in the ballot, that is the amount of money that is available for those projects. So if in the event a sponsor were unable to develop any matching funds, most of those projects we try to basically fund them at the level that would allow you to complete the project. The Advanced Technology Center, there's some matching funding that Spartanburg Community College has worked on, but basically it's up to the sponsor if a match is required to come up with those funds, and if they can't do that, then of course the project couldn't be completed. You mentioned construction costs. We used an architectural firm. COVID and everything, lumber prices have been kind of crazy. All that was taken into account when we looked at the budget. There was a contingency in there for construction costs to make sure that we got the funds that we need to be able to do the project.
And maybe you can answer about some funds, since it's they're talking about the 25%, I guess, coming from Spartanburg Community College.
Jerry, thank you. And I'm so happy to be here tonight and be able to discuss this very important referendum. And when you look at that, we at Spartanburg Community College, our commission's already approved and voted and supported $4.8 million for this project. So we could not extend or do not have more in our budget to extend the totality of this, but it's important to once again showcase that we're putting skin in the game, very dedicated to this particular project. We want to see it succeed, but ultimately, you have a county supervisor, you have superintendent of education, you have the president of Spartanburg Community College all saying together, putting in those chips, then we can make this happen. And so from a standpoint of just getting it off the ground, that $4.8 million is very important. So we've got that set aside. We already have that in our budget. We have that ready to go. And it's dependent upon getting these other funds in place in order to move forward on the project. Because ultimately, we want to make a bigger splash and just say we're wanting to expand the county-owned facility and just continue to operate at the same level. We want to make sure that Union County is a spotlight for the entirety of the state with regards to building the capacity for workforce quality and all those particular areas that are already facilitated at the Career Center, but coming back in and saying, this is the pipeline, this is the growth. And I'll tell you, I meet with industries in 3 counties because Spartanburg Community College represents Spartanburg County, Union County, and Cherokee County, and the future of development and growth with regards to per capita income and ability to bring more attraction, more jobs to the area is going to be able to showcase what the students coming out of both the Career Center, the college, and even our adult individuals want to come back and be retrained. in certain areas. I think that is critical because this is going to be a holistic opportunity, not just segmented, but from 8 in the morning till 8 at night, operational utilization, and we want to make sure that it's utilized to its fullest extent. So we're not going to just portion it off into sections. It's going to be a holistic approach, and that's unique. That's unique to South Carolina and something I think would be a shining star for Union County.
Yeah, and Amanda also asked the parcel of land, the property to for the technology building, where will the funds come from there, or is it already purchased when you bought the other building?
So when we did the design, ideally we want to acquire some additional property. We've been in contact with the owners. The funds for that would come from our economic development fund, where we set back, whenever we bring a new industry, we basically set back a portion of the revenue from that industry to support economic development. So it is planned that there would be an acquisition of some additional property, probably on the order of about 10 to 15 acres. But we did work with the architect such that if that acquisition for some reason, some unforeseen reason, cannot take place, we can fit the facility on the existing footprint, the real estate currently owned by the county.
Okay. Jared Christie Love Parkins, and this might be an answer you can answer, Mr. Haney, says, how about pulling resources together for a roof for Monarch Elementary, but put some funds to decrease class size and add additional teachers to decrease class sizes, supplement special needs?
First of all, Jerry, thank you for this opportunity for us to kind of respond to some of these questions of the community. Speaking of the first thing, I think, was the Monarch Elementary roofing project. We have actually set aside capital funds and have already completed phase 1 of that roofing project this past summer. There is a phase 2 that will come in next summer, and those capital funds are already set aside also. We had to do what we could in this past summer, which was a shorter summer than normal because of our adjustment of calendars due to the pandemic. And of course, you get back into session, you don't want to be doing too much roofing work during instructional time, so you had to kind of pause that process until next summer when we do phase 2. We do realize we have some overcrowded classrooms. I hear it many times during the week from principals, teachers, parents, and so forth. It does require more space, and then when you do find a space, which we don't have a lot of extra space right now in our schools as they exist. But then you also got to find teachers, which you're dealing with another shortage when it comes to certain grade level teachers and content area teachers.
Okay. Another question, Frank, this is probably for you. While we're paying repair property that belongs to companies that make plenty of funds to do the repairs themselves without our tax dollars.
Why are we paying for repairs?
Yeah, I guess they were talking about, I guess specifically down in Carlisle, Milligan. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
you'll have to be more specific with that. So that.
Yeah, if they could give us a little more, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes if we've got a new industry that's coming in and there's a certain number of jobs associated with it, a certain level of investment, sometimes we, in conjunction with the state, will offer some grant fundings to incentivize those folks to come to Union County. But so far as just going out and doing repairs for an existing industry, I'm not sure.
Okay, we'll get more detail.
If they can provide some more detail, yeah.
And Brittany Gordon asks us, when you plan of allocating the federal COVID relief funds? I think you touched that in September.
So we talked a little bit about that. I think probably maybe what she's referring to is the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act funds. So Union County is scheduled to receive an allotment, which I'm thankful. You know, last time when the COVID relief dollars, and I'm not sure how it worked for the school district, but the funding went to the state, unfortunately, and not a lot of it trickled to rural South Carolina. So we actually get a direct allotment this time, as well as the municipalities. Most likely those funds, and there's certain things you have to use those funds for. It can be, you know, water infrastructure, water, sewer, COVID mitigation, broadband. There's a couple of different avenues. We most likely, of course, it's going to be up to county council ultimately will make the decision how we appropriate that, but we are in a pretty severe situation with our detention center in terms of overcrowding and inability to segregate inmates. So what we're looking at doing is potentially providing, and I hate to say this because we don't have a growing population, but unfortunately we have a growing inmate population, adding additional capacity at the jail, and I think that's going to consume a large part of that money. If we don't use those funds for that, then that's going to take tax dollars. But one way or the other, we're going to have to address this overcrowding issue because in the long term, it's a liability for the county.
Right. Greg Addison asked, how will the maintenance or repairs, upgrades be paid for after sunset of the tax? Will millage have to be raised?
Yeah, my hope, and you guys chime in here, is by doing, a lot of things are very segregated in South Carolina government, even among municipalities and counties. I think when we can come together and do things, in particular, like we're talking between the college and the school district, there should be savings associated with that, economy of scale and efficiency. So I don't really see this as being a big additional cost factor. When we build the facility, if we do it right with the school district and the enrollment is where it needs to be, that's a model that you guys can run that is sustainable. So, but
That's correct. We'll work together on that piece, just like my maintenance department does the upkeep and maintenance on the present facility, then we can work out an agreement on the new facility. And a lot of times when you, of course, build new facilities, you become more efficient, and which brings savings.
Yeah, there's only 4 campuses in the state of South Carolina that have the Career Center and the college co-located. And 2 of those counties, I served as president of Central Carolina Technical College. So in Clarendon County, there's a joint campus between Central Carolina Technical College, the Career Center, and Adult Education. And in Kershaw County, it hosts the Career Center, Central Carolina Technical College, actually the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development right there off exit 98 in Camden. So it's a strong model. And in Cherokee County, just to the north here, the I-Squared, which is their stain of curriculum.
Was asking here was about the cost of the building, you know, in itself, because they're hearing 14 million point. Last my live feed just went off.
Equip the facility.
Adults, adult education, local industry, new and upcoming industry. The vision I see is they call the facility.
Standardized training. If we get two facilities, then how are we going to be able to plan for that? To your population, right, and committed to one another. know, at Department of Commerce. If you show the model, I bet you'll have other counties and other places from all over the southeast and probably country saying,
They'll want to see what we're doing.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, and that's a great, you know, asset to have.
This project, one thing that really excited me is when we went to your Cherokee campus and we had some discussion with folks over there. You know, a lot of folks think about, when they think about vocational school, they think, you know, I'm going to, a lot of luster to it, right? But the reality is all those folks are getting out making $25 and $30 an hour, you know, with a 2-year technical degree. And they indicated at Cherokee County when they actually took the vocational school, if we could generate that kind of interest, we can take our incoming 9th graders and keep them involved so that they go out the door as 12th graders. It really makes a difference in the community in terms of
These students,
You go toward if you're going to these career fields, it's a blossoming new world. And if you go in and you get stabilized and you get a credential, even high school, you may not enroll immediately, transition directly in the Department of Community College. You can get a credential, well, continue on with your education at this same location.
yeah,
Continue on, get your college degree, and the company may, in fact, will pay you to continue to go back. And
that's it.
And we say companies, we say those pieces, but it's also the public benefit of the hospital system.
Yep.
You know, growing your workforce there, growing your workforce in, you know, public safety, and opportunity to say, okay, you know, we have emergency management training, you know, centers, and we're working on that, you know, at the Giles campus. The career paths for those students, and we don't have to go and work as hard because we sit there and say it's right there. It's in the model that we built, and we don't have to go back and say, well, I want to have a meeting, you know, with the superintendent, and we're working twice
Right.
to energize the same base of students.
and I think you never quit looking. Program too.
That would be a nice position. We're the leader in the state.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm dedicated to having that unique piece. We want to have some that you just do the same thing at each one of our campuses, but use it as a draw that area, to that arena, and say, okay, well, this is a little different. So we'll have a draw for these particular programs, you know, and I think having this model, we can do that and set that up and not do it in a way that's going to be cost prohibitive, but basically be more cost effective.
Correct.
And at the end of the day, that will in turn, over time, you know, impact the county from an economic impact standpoint. But some of those ancillary benefits is, yeah, you might have, you know, might see big decreases in those individuals going into crime or other areas, corrections. But on the flip side, just in Kershaw County, when we built the college and the career center and the economic development and the Chamber of Commerce all on that one site, in a 3-year period of time, they've seen more than an $80 million direct impact on their county.
Yeah. Wow.
$80 million
Direct.
direct impact. So that's not potential for
Right.
companies. That's a direct economic
New
impact.
announcements,
Yeah.
investments, and
Mhm.
jobs. Are we having technical difficulty, Jerry? We're over here chatting it up. I'm not sure. Are we broadcasting?
I have not a clue what's going on with this right here, but I still see it.
Okay.
And,
I didn't know if any questions had come in or.
well, one
Rainy
says,
night.
is it necessary to spend $314,000 on splash pads? We need 6 in the county. Or what about the disc golf or any other park?
Yep, so that's specifically speaking to, and I brought my list because unfortunately I don't have a photographic memory, so I have to look back at the amounts. I wish I did have a photographic memory. So we're talking about basically just under $2.4 million for recreational upgrades. I think what the commission tried to do with that, of course, they held public meetings, they held online meetings, and what they tried to do is get public input and do projects that would improve quality of life around the county. So I think and I would encourage folks, go to, if you're on Facebook, you could search A Penny Makes Sense, CENTS, or Union County Capital Project Sales Tax. There's a lot of information on there, but the reason there's a number of those things is they tried to provide some benefits in every community. Because we want to make sure if we do this, everybody in Union County is going to pay. We want to make sure everybody in Union County sees a benefit. So that's why you'll see a lot of different sites around the county.
Okay, and, let's see, what's this? Why are there 2 options being voted on in the special elections instead of the normal option?
The normal, you mean, why didn't we do it in a general election? Is that maybe what the question is? Or
Probably that Jeremy Black says, why are these 2 options being voted on in a special election
Special,
instead of a normal?
yeah, that's a
normal
good
election?
question. So we started really looking at both of those questions, capital project sales tax and form of government, prior, really at the 4th quarter of 2019. I think if we look back, it's when we started doing our first reading of those ordinances. Well, everybody knows what happened in 2020. We got saddled with COVID, right? It hit. I remember looking at the numbers and thinking, is this coming our way? And by March, we were in the middle of all this craziness. So what that did to the capital project sales tax effort is it just really killed it. It stalled it because you can't do an initiative like this and not get out and talk to people and say, what do y'all want to see in the community? And that was really impossible to do. So we weren't able to get it. We just weren't able to get it on the ballot for 2020. Now, of course, I met with that commission in January of 21 and said, look, guys, we lost a year. And we need to pick back up with this and go forward. And I think council felt like it's important enough, particularly on the capital project sales tax, and knowing that some of this funding is coming down that we can use for matching funding for some of this stuff like we're talking about for the Career and Technology Center. We need to go ahead and try to get this thing on the ballot. And because we're doing a special election, we went ahead and put the form of government on it because it's the same amount of money. It's the, in terms of poll workers and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how we ended up in a special election.
Okay, let's see, I don't understand quite what this one is asking. Okay, let's see. What about doing different things instead of the same activities at every park? I guess it mean different activities each park. I don't know if this is...
Yeah, there is some things, like they added things, and I'm not one of these people, I don't play disc golf, I don't know anything about it, but they've added like disc golf and pickleball, and I don't play any of that stuff. But when the rec department worked with the kind of the citizen committee to look and see what the parks, they tried to identify stuff that, new things that people are doing, and they tried to make it available in each community. There's splash pads, there's disc golf, and pickleball, and some walking trails, and all that kind of stuff. That's not my area of expertise. I need to exercise more than I do. But, that was the intent, was to try to offer some of those amenities in each community, just to help with quality of life, so folks have something to do.
This might be for Mr. Haney. Says, early education is so important. Why not invest in the basics to build the foundations so we have young adults, teens, who are prepared for college? Is this plan for a new vocational building not 5 steps ahead of our needs right now?
I don't think so. This is a project that we've had an opportunity to join in on, and I'll say again, reiterate, we could not even have a discussion of the school district alone as far as the option to even think about a new technology center, or even a renovation of a technology center. But we look at pre-K through 12 as a whole all the time, and we're doing a number of things in the early childhood. We take a hard look all the time at kindergarten readiness. We just shared those results at the board meeting the other night. We're taking a strong focus at first graders reading at or above grade level by the time they end their first grade year. And we look at other trainings for our teachers and what we're doing in the classroom. Our board has supported us recently on using some of our ESSER money to hire math interventionists and reading recovery teachers in all elementary schools. We're not there and completed with those positions. So we got to look at providing the best for our early childhood, our elementary, our middle school, high school, and then as our kids go out on into post-secondary. We have to think about the whole picture.
And I would just say as well, learning starts at birth, at the end of the day, but also to be able to grow teachers and educators. So we have an early care and education college. I sat in on a reaccreditation meeting last week, and we're growing that program because there's going to be more opportunities to back down into 4K, 3K, other ranges from a standpoint, because we know that the human brain, starts from conception, goes back through understanding and linking to those pieces. But we're training now students that are in those disciplines, and it would be pretty powerful to have more and more of those educators coming through, learning those other expertise. And that's just another support mechanism that can grow and develop. And we see a lot of that opportunity. And at the state level, I've had several conversations with teachers. And so, both in the high-tech areas, but I tell you what, my heart goes out to all our teachers because, over the past, year and a half or so, they've stood the test and tide and made it happen. Right. And those are the individuals we drop off our sons and daughters, and they get involved. And I tell you what, that is a true piece. But I think Spartanburg Community College and the community would be dedicated to taking that next level out of Career Center, going in and educate those individuals that are going to be taking care of those most precious individuals in our society. Those.
And one program that's a part of this project, the new Advanced Technology Center, is Project Lead the Way. Mm-hmm. And that's presently at our Career Center. And in my first year, which was last year, I found out we had that program also at one of our middle schools, but not both middle schools. So we found a way to now add that to both middle schools. We have it at all middle school levels, high school level. We also started to talk about taking that on down into elementary level, because you cannot start too early with Project Lead the Way.
That'd be great.
Somebody asked you here, Jeremy Black, was USC Union considered to be included in this joint adventure with SCC?
So from the county's perspective, we, although we all work together, there was a lot of confusion in years past about USC Union's role, SCC's role. I think it's really, in some sense, it's kind of two different markets. So, we've done a lot with USC Union. Side. So, and they of course are already doing dual enrollment for those folks who want to do college credit and go to a traditional, university. So we felt like we've done a good job kind of making that available. Of course, the scholarship program that's paid for with tax dollars allows students to pursue either path. We really felt like we needed to now look and see if these students were losing, right? That we're not engaging, and they're kind of, just for one reason or another, they're coming in, but we're not getting them out there. So what could we do to engage those guys and give? successful, and then also have an asset that we could use to just help our adults as well. Everybody could benefit from this. So that's it. Wasn't that they were, I would say, left out. It's just we've tried to provide some pretty good delineation in terms of don't duplicate, because we don't have many dollars, so it's important when we
Huge change for our community, then also elementary education. Tracks will be right here in Union. Before they go, so we can let them practice in some medical facility and hire them before they complete their degree. And I'll say we're on an early conversation with Spartanburg Community College for a
Is the third largest college in the upstate of South Carolina. We're at 6,100. And so from that effort, from our standpoint, we want to make sure that we get a return with regards to the focus in Union County and support mechanism. The highest enrollment in the history of the college this year. And, with our free tuition, we're looking at continuing to grow with regards to that substantiated path. I mean, we're the 8th largest in the state. You have University of South Carolina, Columbia, you have Clemson, then you have Trident Technical College, Greenville Technical College, College of Charleston, Coastal Carolina, Midlands Technical. There we're sitting at Spartanburg Community College. So I mean, we are a huge player in this upstate market, and I know I want you. I think that all citizens in Union County should have access to higher education and to specific training.
you also got to offer the other side the skills and let's just be real.
Well, I know my granddaughter, for example, just graduated from Union High School, and she's right now getting ready to go to PC after this next semester, but she'll be graduating at University of South Carolina with an associate's degree and just graduated from high school.
Right.
Matter of fact, she did Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
Well, I think we've got everything done as far as the building and the building funds and things like that. I'm pretty sure that's pretty well everyone's questions asked. I know you've been on a lot of interviews and things like that. And so we'll kind of let you go and maybe
A little bit about the course.
what I'll do is probably I'll just
Thank